wish to entertain a motion as to the adoption of the first one. I move to adopt the first resolution, which was read to us, which would be to submit to the electors the question of levying the county sales tax at the rate of 0.5% pursuant to sections 5739.021 of the revised code.
Second.
Any questions? Any comments? Well, I would just like to say that, as you all know, this has been very, very difficult in the county. Hard economic times we're having, but one of the biggest things we have as commissioners is to try to protect the public in this county. And the way the situation is with the jail is horrible. And we have to make sure that everyone is safe in this county. And that, I think all of us, that's our priority. There are other issues. There are drainage issues. When we had that 5 inches of rain in 3 hours 2 weeks ago, it was horrendous. We had more phone calls from people around the county. Their houses were flooded, their streets were flooded, etc. It's a situation that has to be addressed, and we have to look at that. We have not had the funds to address that area of the county, but hopefully one of these days we will have the funds and we can start beginning that process. It is estimated that by the county engineer it would cost about $60 to $70 million to correct the drainage and the problems that are facing these people. But again, our concern is protection and the safety of the people of this county. And that's one of the reasons, the main reason really, that I wanted to support this. I'll ask my fellow commissioners, Tom and Janet, if you want to make any comments.
I would defer to Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Member Burnaby. Just echoing some of those same thoughts. This has been a long process for us, and just to remind everybody, it started clear back in January when this new board took office, and many people at that time encouraged us in those first 5 days, because that is the time period that we had to either impose or to put something on the ballot. As you all know, that is history now. We did not choose to go forward at that time. I had personal reasons, one being I did not know the carryover. I did not know the Citizens Review report. I had not had a chance to really examine the county's finances because I'd only been here myself for 5 days. So for those reasons, we chose not to go forward. Over this period of time, it has been a long, methodical process. I have looked at many numbers. I have spoken to many, many people. As you all know, we conducted 22 hearings, a hearing tour around the county to get input. We were disappointed that not more people came out. But I will tell you that as we went around the county, those that did come to hear our story and to ask questions, I would have to tell you that the majority left believing that there is a need for a county sales tax. I gave a strong consideration to the criminal justice system because that is what keeps us safe in this county. And it is the safety and the welfare of our citizens that we have been commanded to oversee. And I'm not going to turn my back on the criminal justice system. That's not to say that there are other needs, and we know that. As our President, Commissioner Ferguson, has stated, the flooding problems are horrendous. And I have to tell you that last week I really started to lean that way, knowing that we needed to address the flood control in this county. This is just not the time for us to ask for any more. Quite frankly, I've gone from a quarter to 3/4 back to a half, thinking of a whole, considering nothing. I have been at every stage of that, of the game, so to speak, in thinking about the sales tax. Knowing that the infrastructure in this county is vital, and I'm not just talking about flood control, but we're also talking about our buildings, our technology. All of those things are components in this county that will keep us strong. And I believe it is our command to make sure that we look out for the future. Unfortunately, flood control has not been addressed in the past. I know that there have been discussions, there have been many reports made, but at the end of the day, we've not taken a proactive step. So I am concerned about that, and I want you to know it's at the forefront of of my thoughts. Just one last thing, I will address the 8-year term. We heard everything from 1 year to forever. We had to find a happy medium. Quite frankly, the 8-year term has been successful in the past. It gets us time to get our sea legs because we have really, we're out there on this boat, and we all need to be rowing in the same direction. And we have a lot of things that we have to play catch up on. So that's why I'm committed to the 8-year term.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Burnaby?
And I can best comment by saying I reiterate and restate everything addressed by Dr. Ferguson and Commissioner Creighton. We took the extra week. This resolution was originally on the agenda last week for our consideration, and at that time we decided to continue it for a week to take a further look at all of the various issues. Again, as Commissioner Creighton has stated, we've looked at the relative circumstances of no sales tax versus a quarter versus a half. This past week we've looked at 3/4, we've looked at 1%. The largest unfulfilled need, again, to restate it, is drainage, and we understand that the cost of repairing flood control and drainage issues in Stark County is estimated again at $50 to $75 million. It's not a short-term fix. Many of these fixes are going to take 5 and 10 and 15 years to implement a full program. But again, as has been stated, I personally concluded that our focus has to be on criminal and administrative justice services. That is the primary function, I believe, of government at any level. We need to restore the jail. We need to restore the prosecutor's office. We had lengthy public meetings last week in which we made analysis of our budgetary circumstances. If no sales tax is adopted, we have very serious concerns about maintaining probably not more than 100 out of 500 beds at the jail, being able to put very few road patrol services for county public safety, the cuts to the prosecutor's office, whether he's prosecuting criminal cases in the felony court or whether he's prosecuting juvenile cases, all of which are equally important to all of our public safety, would be devastating. The cuts across the board, not even without focusing on those kinds of cuts, are probably in the area of approximating 40% of all of the offices, and that's after we've already incurred 15% over the last 2 years. So we recognize that there is the absolute need for a sales tax. We've analyzed whether or not a quarter would work. A quarter does not restore even the services that or the levels that we were at this year. A quarter would bring us down to even a lower level. We conclude that a half is probably the most palatable and necessary level that we would hope to be able to ask the voters and hope that we can convince the voters to support in November. Even the 0.5%, and I think that I have to emphasize this because it's very important that everybody understands this. 0.5%, if adopted in November, because of the manner in which it is put on, the manner in which it is collected and returned to us, we do not receive any sales tax until July 1 of next year, regardless if that is passed in November. So we're going to go another 8 months after November without any additional sales tax. When you put all those numbers together, we find that even with efforts to restore the jail and to restore road patrol and to restore some of the other criminal justice services that is necessary, and we're not going to be able to restore them to 100% immediately, just by the nature of the funding that's going to occur. Many offices are still going to incur probably 25 to 30% cuts in services in the year 2012. A 0.5% sales tax really doesn't begin to help us to restore us to full governmental services until the year 2013. We would hope that in the year 2013 that we can pretty well restore most of the services that we had in 2010. And we would hope that by 2013 we may also be able to start putting at least some money aside and focusing to a very small extent, when I say a small extent, amount of maybe an approximate $1 million or something a year, which is just a drop in the bucket for our flood control issues. But we would hope that beginning in 2013 we can start to refocus some money in some of the other directions and needs that this county has. Economic development is another one. And many of the other programs that we fund through our Department 35 budget, including 4-H and certain things with the Agricultural Society and certain other services that are strongly needed by many segments of the community that go unrecognized by many of us. We probably won't be able to begin even restoring those kinds of services and assistance to those programs probably until 2013. So even at 0.5%, which I fully support, this county has some extremely difficult financial difficulties into the future.
Thank you. As many of you know, Stark County, up until July 1st, was had the lowest tax in the state of Ohio of the 88 counties. After July 1st, of course, that tax expired. We've got major problems, and one of the things that we did go out in the community, some people thought that we were having scare tactics about the jail and the criminal justice system, and truly they are not. And we've looked at every aspect. Tom and Janet have taken the lead on looking at all those numbers and going over them time and time again with our auditor, Ellen Harold, who's here. We've got serious problems. This is not just more money so we can give people raises and give people elective furlough days and all that stuff. We have serious economical problems, and I know that people are without jobs in the county. I know people without jobs in the area. But we're at the point now that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, it's catastrophic if we do not get a sales tax. It's going to be horrible. So we've looked at everything. I think we've been very conscientious in our thinking about this process, not making a quick decision, taking everything in consideration. So that's all I have to say, and I'll call for a vote.
And if I may, one last comment, and again, we, as Commissioner Creighton has indicated, we've had 21 or 22 community meetings, we've had another 2 public hearings. Probably at all of those meetings, and some of you may or may not have attended those meetings, but we have addressed this map, which is a colored map of the amount of sales tax which is in place in the various 88 counties in the state of Ohio. I would only emphasize today, as we continue to emphasize, 81 counties have in place, 81 out of 88 have 1% or greater. Many of them have, almost half of those have 1.5% sales tax in place. 4 of them have 0.75 or 3/4% in place. Only 2 of them have 0.5% in place. And we, of course, are unique in that we presently, in the past, we had only 1/4, making us the lowest tax, with regard to sales taxes, county in the state. And of course, now we were at 0. Even again, when we go up to 0.5%, if the voters were to pass it, that still places us in the lowest 3 counties in the state.
And we have the 7th largest county, too.
We are the 7th largest. I think that there's a reason why all these counties have that level of sales tax, and it's because that level of sales tax is necessary because everybody has the same combination of relative other revenues as we do. It's that type of sales tax revenue is necessary to support the level of basic criminal justice and other services that are necessary to make a county run. And we believe very, very strongly that at 0.5%, again, being the 3rd lowest, it makes it difficult even for us to operate on a efficient and beneficial basis for all of the citizens of Stark County, even at that level. But we are hopeful that they can adopt that level.
Thank you.
Mr. President, one other thing, this board is determined and will continue to communicate with other elected officials to keep them apprised at all times of the financial situation, because as many of you know, it's a peak and valley sometimes with revenue streams. We know many are constant, but we know some are variables, so it's important and it's incumbent upon us to keep those lines of communication open and also remind everyone this is not a credit card. When this passes in November, that life is returned to a glorious day. That means, if even not more so, we have to hold everyone's feet to the fire, hold them accountable, and make everyone responsible. Not to give the impression and not to go out and think it's a free-for-all for everyone.
Okay, there was a motion made, second. We had discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Second one,
I
please,
move
Tom.
to adopt the second resolution that was read by Mr. Hanky, and that would be captioned, the resolution levying a county use tax at the rate of 0.5% pursuant to section 5741.021 of the revised code.
Second?
Okay, any questions? And just one more comment, then I'll ask for a vote. You know, it's been estimated that 35 to 40% of the money that comes in this county is from people outside this county. So I think it's a very, very fair way of, if we're going to do a tax, I think it's an extremely fair way of doing it. Okay, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.